Okay, so here's the thing. I have a pipe, multiple pipes that are like leaking and dripping in the closet next to me. I have a family that just moved in upstairs that has like 20 small children that never stop running around. And the world is on fire. And I'm just like filled with nonstop rage and sadness. So we're doing the best we can. I have not sat down to film in a hot minute, mainly because of like a lot of those things all mixed together. If you hear the like rattling or the dripping or the running or the screaming, there's nothing I can do about it. I am looking for a new place to live, preferably a house to rent, because this is insane. If I waited for them to like stop making noise and stop letting their children run around, I would never get anything done. And I'm so sorry if I sound like angry, because normally I try to be like really upbeat, but I am angry. So that's just gonna have to be the vibe for today's filming session. However, despite being filled with a lot of rage, I was actually kind of dreading sitting down and filming, because I haven't filmed in a really long time and I was just like not feeling it. But now that I'm like sitting down and talking to you guys, it actually feels kind of cathartic, and I'm excited. I have some really cool video ideas considering I haven't filmed anything in like ever, and I am like excited to share all of them with you. But I feel like it would be completely disingenuous to pretend like all of the aforementioned things that are happening are not currently happening in the world and inside of my apartment and above my apartment. I actually sat down and filmed one or two, maybe two, maybe even more than that videos, and then I just didn't edit them, didn't do anything with them. They were like still in my SD card that was in my camera when I sat down to film today, because I just wasn't feeling it. I felt like a shell of a human being for a little while, and it just kind of feels like we never get a break between like global traumatic events. It was really hard to like sit down and think of like lighthearted content or just content in general to film and to produce for everyone. And I know I'm not the only one who's feeling that. Like, for anyone, no matter what your job is or what you do, it's just really hard to function right now. But we are here. We're gonna try to do this thing. Hopefully, if you are seeing this video did actually make it to you. But anyway, after spending the last couple of months not feeling really like a functioning human being, I thought that it would be like very fitting to film a video on how to financially recover from a depressive episode, because your girl knows all about that. Hopefully all of the background noises aren't too distracting. I think Oliver is done with the litter box. We're just gonna have to deal with the kids upstairs. They never stop, and they've added a dog to the equation. My hope is that you can't hear any of this when I edit it, but that's probably not the reality. However, hopefully this is still a good video. I've got lots of tips that I think are going to be very helpful, whether you are coming out of a depressive episode or you're just at the point where like you think maybe now you can start like thinking about managing your finances and you're starting to maybe feel like a string of a functioning human being. Hopefully some of these will help you out. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. Okay, so the first thing that I want to say is if you have already established a budget before, you haven't looked at it in a while, it really overwhelms you thinking about how you're going to like get back on track with the budget, throw the whole thing away. Throw the whole budget away. Don't even bother trying to like figure out where you were at, trying to track your expenses since you started, trying to figure out what bills that you've added. No. Throw the whole thing away. Start over. Chances are, if you haven't budgeted in a while or you've been in a depressive episode for a while, your finances are different anyway. You've probably got different bills, things have changed, your priorities have changed because life changes. My card was full, so chances are my camera moved a little bit. It's fun. I've just found it so much easier to like start from scratch, redo a budget, than it is to try to like tweak a budget that you haven't looked at in forever. And oftentimes it feels so overwhelming that like we don't end up starting. And our whole goal here is to make it as easy as possible for you to transition into feeling a little bit more in control of your finances. And if you have never budgeted before, don't worry. All of these other tips are still going to work for you. I just wanted to mention if you had before and you are thinking about trying to like tackle your old budget, forget it, move on, start anew. The next important tip that I have is to review any missed payments or late payments or late fees that you have. If you have been struggling to keep up with your finances, to keep up with life in general, chances are there's a good chance that you might have missed a payment. There might be a payment that you don't know. You might have ended up overdrafting. Any of those things, start small, just pick one to try to figure out and assess, see what you can do with the situation. Can you call and get a late fee removed? A lot of times they will do that if they ended up charging you a fee, or an overdraft fee removed. That will seriously help you out financially, especially because some late fees are like $30, $40, $50. And if you can get even one of those removed, it is going to be huge when you are trying to start anew with your budget. The next thing that you want to do after you have either called or talked with the customer service on chat, I recommend if you are in the headspace to call them. Usually they are much more likely to remove late fees if you can give them a call. Generally, in my experience, when I've called, these phone calls don't take more than like 5 minutes, so you don't have to like mentally prepare yourself for being on the phone for like hours. The next thing that you want to do is to review and see if you can make any payments toward the things that you have missed. If you have some extra money in your account right now, what are the most important things for you to make sure that you have paid right now? So things like your rent or mortgage, electricity, and your phone bill, these things that are going to keep your life in a functioning state so that you can continue to move forward and get your finances on track. If there are any bills that you have missed for months on end, or they have gone into collections, or you know that you have future payments coming up that you're not going to be able to make, if you can, get in touch with their customer service, give them a call or a chat, and see about getting on a payment plan for any of your future bills that you might not be able to pay. You might need a little bit more wiggle room. Chances are they are going to be much more willing to work with you if you can like get ahead of that than trying to like backtrack and fix any missed payments that you have. And a lot of times they're more willing to work with you than you think that they will be. A little caveat here, I do not recommend that you go through and do all of these steps on like the same day unless you are really feeling it. Don't feel bad if like all you can do is like one thing. Focus on one missed payment, focus on one bill, focus on just trashing your whole budget and starting to figure out what budgeting system you want to put in place next. It is okay to just take this one step at a time. You don't need to like go full sprint ahead now that you feel like you can function a little bit more. Although I also know that sometimes for me, it's like I have today and I have energy and I need to get all of this done, in which case, go for it. Now, the next thing that I recommend that you do, and this is something I always do as well when I'm coming out of a depressive episode, is to review any new bills that you might have. Do you have any impulse purchases, any of those like random little subscription boxes or new things that you've signed up for on a monthly basis that you need to account for in your budget? Or has anything changed since? Did you have a new lease on your apartment and now your rent is different? Are you spending more on groceries and gas than you were a few months ago because everything is just so much more expensive? Did you have to take on a new car loan? Anything like that. Going back through and just quickly reviewing any new bills that you can think of or any changes to your bills is going to help you to be able to create a budget that is like actually going to work for you in your life moving forward, rather than a budget that is based off of like how you were living life a few months ago. An honorable mention, a little side tangent that I want to get on, is reviewing your credit cards. I know for me, part of my credit card debt was that I was really struggling with my mental health, and a lot of things I just paid for convenience and to be able to function as a human being. So if you found yourself either deeper in credit card debt than you already were, or unable to pay off your credit card in full, maybe for the first time, maybe just for the first time in recent history, take a look at that, figure out how you want to go about attacking that. I highly recommend checking out my video on how I paid off credit card debt, some of my biggest tips for you. That is going to give you a lot of good ideas on like where to get started with that, even if it's not like you're tackling it today, just something to keep in mind as you're building your new budget. And I will link that up here for you, because once again, I don't remember which side it's on. Couldn't fucking tell you. Here, I'm guessing. Next, this is for all of my impulse and emotional shoppers like myself. Take a look around at any stuff that you bought that maybe like now you're realizing wasn't a good purchase or wasn't in line with your financial goals, or you're not actually as excited about it as you thought that you were going to be at 3 a.m. scrolling on Amazon. First step is to see if you are within the return window, because if you are, go return it. The next time, just put it in your car so it's in your car. And then the next time that you are out and about and you're passing a Kohl's or a UPS or wherever you can return your Amazon stuff, or whatever store you got it from, Target, it's already in your car and you can just like swing by, and you don't have to like be driving by the place going, oh yeah, I need to return that, but it's at home. Put it in your car. However, if you are past that return limit, I've been there many a times, I am the worst at returning things. If you are feeling really tight with your finances and you're not really sure how you're gonna be able to get on track, one of the easiest things to do is to find ways to increase your income, even for a short period of time. And a great way to do that is to sell either items that you already have. Maybe they're not things that like you purchased during this depressive episode. Maybe they're just random things that don't bring you joy around the house anymore. Or to sell those things that you bought but you can't return them, but hopefully you can recoup at least like the majority of your money. This doesn't have to be an intricate online selling process. Just post it on Facebook, Facebook Marketplace, Ask your friends or your family if they're in need of any of those things. Sometimes even just selling like one thing, getting your money back on one thing that you thought you weren't going to be able to return can motivate you to kind of keep that momentum going and hopefully get you a little bit of extra income so you can help out with this next tip that I have, which is focusing on rebuilding any savings that you had. Chances are a lot of us during depressive episodes end up spending more, whether that is from necessity or just trying to cope with the world, or we're just not as good about tracking our finances and our savings accounts can start to dwindle if we had a savings account in the first place. Whether you did have money in savings or not, the first thing that I always recommend is to start building up an emergency fund if you don't have one in place already. Generally speaking, I'm pretty like loosey-goose on what I think that people should prioritize with their finances. However, I really do strongly recommend that like everyone has some sort of an emergency fund, because you might be feeling great today, but no one knows what tomorrow is going to hold. My God, it feels like we like never get a break between just like shit piling onto us. So be prepared. Give yourself a little bit of financial wiggle room if you can. And that's why I mentioned selling whatever you can. Not that you have to sell everything, but selling the things that can make you a little bit of money that aren't bringing joy to your life right now, even if it's just a couple things to help build up your savings, because any money in an emergency fund is better than no money in an emergency fund. And that is going to help you whether you continue on track with your finances or you slip back into a little bit of a dip where you are not focusing on your finances as much, or if something happens in life that you just need a little bit of a financial wiggle room, that is going to be your saving grace. And my final tip when trying to get your finances back on track after a depressive episode is to keep it simple. Look, I am a fan of an intricate budget. We have all seen my Why Now budget, we know. However, sometimes you can't. And chances are, if you were like just now trying to tackle your finances, feel a little bit more confident with money, going in full force with like a super detailed budget that requires a lot of hands-on tracking and looking at your budget daily or reassessing your finances, it might just not happen. So whenever I'm first coming out of a depressive episode and I'm not quite sure if I'm about to spiral back, because let's be honest, that happens, I like to keep things as simple as possible, automate whatever I can. If I have any new bills or any new changes to bills, accommodate for that. Make sure that you have anything set up on auto pay that you possibly can to hopefully try to reduce the amount of missed payments or late fees that you are acquiring if you end up not paying as much attention to your finances as you think you're going to. If you're like me, on my good days, it is sometimes best for me to spend that energy preparing for future me and setting myself up for success, whether I am like feeling as good as I am today or not. A big part of that is automating your finances. I think that is like one of the simplest ways to kind of approach budgeting and money management that sets you up for success, even if you don't have the time and the energy to come back to your finances every day. If you want to learn more about that, I've created videos on it. I will link them up here as well. Automating your finances is one of my top tips for my fellow friends with ADHD. However, it is also definitely one of my top tips for my fellow friends with mental illness, because we don't know how reliable we're going to be in the future. Let's just be honest. And again, depending on what kind of person you are, what headspace you are in right now, what your energy level is, feel free to approach this as slow or as fast as you see fit. Taking one step in the right direction today is a huge thing. Don't feel like you need to like get all of your finances in order today if you are just not feeling it, because then you're just going to end up burning yourself out and then making yourself feel bad that you didn't stick to a budget that you created all day spending and used up every ounce of energy that you had. And that's not helpful for future you at all. However, if you are like me and you do have the energy today and you don't know when you're going to have it again, take advantage of that. Try to focus on those big priority items, seeing if you have any late payments, seeing if you can get any late fees taken care of, getting yourself back on track, and focused on a budgeting system that you can automate now, put in the work today, take a few hours, make sure all of your finances are set up. That way, future you is covered, even if you're not spending as much time budgeting and like actively managing your money. I hope that these tips are helpful. I hope that you all are doing as okay as possible right now. I wouldn't want to pretend like it would be possible for us all to just be doing wonderfully, because that is not the reality right now. But my heart is going out to all of you. Just know that you are not alone. If you're feeling all of the things, all the sadness and the rage or the emptiness, or you're feeling nothing at all because you just can't feel anything because it's all too much, I am somehow there in all of those things. everything feels like too much and not enough all at the same time. And I wish that I had like words that could help, but I don't. Just know that you're not alone. None of us are alone. And I'm not feeling as hopeful as I normally do, but I've got a little bit of hope still left in me that I'm hoping doesn't get just completely drained out amongst all of this rage and sadness. And I'm unbelievably thankful to all of you. This community has been really amazing. Despite me not being able to show up as my best self and the self that I want to be, I guess that's not true. I think I am showing up as my best self. It's just this is the best that I have to offer right now. And I think whatever the best you have to offer right now, that's enough. Whatever that is, that's okay. I don't really have a great ending to this video. I'm sure I have a lot of outtakes that if you need a little bit of a laugh or a chuckle will be coming up, and I will see you all next time. Bye. Oh, the dripping is back. Thank God. Oliver, we're gonna have to put down a bigger towel, aren't we? I've been filming for 10 minutes and I have like a minute of usable content. Cool. Oh my God, there's a dog. Oliver, you're scratching at the wall, sweetheart. Oh my God. I don't remember what I was saying. Hi, sweet Oliver. Oliver, if you jump up onto there, we're gonna have some issues. Can you just sit down? Is that possible? Oh, that's a cute little tongue you have. It's a good thing you're cute. See, hi, Oliver. This is like definitely not the shirt I should have worn, but again, we're going with it. No bra, cat hair all over a black shirt on a black background with dark hair. We got this.